Okay, some of this will be really, really, really simple and you'll cruise through them. Others, it's just learning how to use the calculator and you're going to be fine there too. Here it wants to know the x and the y intercepts down below. I'm going to need that mouse here in a second, I'm sure. Would be where you type them in. So x-intercepts, identify them here, are, do those say 1? Wow, we're just going to say those are a unit of 1. So I would have an x-intercept where? At 1 and 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I see that.
And a y-intercept of what? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's happy and easy. Everybody's happy about that, right? Okay, let's move on. And identifying where we're increasing and decreasing. So I'm not going to go through here and select these, but we'll talk about it. Between A and B, what's happening? What is it?
Decrease.
Decrease, right? We read from left to right, so we're going down. Decrease from B to C. C to D. And D to E. All right, see how good you guys are at this game? And they make this one a step harder because we have to use interval notation. And we're still getting good at that. Do you remember when we use brackets versus parentheses? That's if it can equal it, this if it cannot, right? So this says strictly decreasing. So that would be here and here. Does everybody agree?
Yeah.
Now what I want to know is at that spot, right there, that point, is this function decreasing or not?
Yeah.
At that point?
No.
No. But between this point and this point, it is. So that tells me that I'm going to use a parenthesis. And we look at our x values. So let me erase some of that real quick. So we are in between, it looks like what? -5 and -3. And then because there are 2 places, what does it say? Separate each interval with a comma. Okay. Next interval, we're between this point. I agree. 0 and what?
4.
4. Is it really hard to see that on the back row?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see it from here.
Yeah.
All right, good. So there will be a couple of those. And this will have you identify either minimums or maximums. Do we remember the difference?
Yeah.
Minimum, maximum, right? Minimum, maximum. So if in this one I am looking for, what did it say? Where does it have a local minimum and what are the values? Now what's tricky on this problem is the A and B, sometimes they'll flip those. And so you need to read and pay attention to which one they're asking for. So all values at which f has a local minimum. So we're going to be talking here and here, right? So what are my x values for those minimums?
-3 and 3.
-2 and 3. All local minimum values of f. So what are my y values for those? -3 and 0. Questions on that one? Okay. That's stuff from last year, so good job remembering that.
We definitely did not.
You definitely did not?
No.
You want to see one more?
We didn't do that last year.
Or it's okay? Speak.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy? All right. Okay, this says use the calculator. And I know you probably did this last year, but I do want to remind you how to do it. So we're going to grab the calculator. And this is where I knew I was going to need the mouse. And sometimes telling the calculator what you want it to do is the hardest part of this problem. It wants us to find the real zeros. Do you guys remember what the zeros are? Zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. X-intercept and zeros are used interchangeably. So I'm going to type in this equation right here, 3x squared, arrow over, plus 7x, don't let me make a mistake. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to graph it. So I am looking for the zeros that are, did the mouse go there? Here and here. But it obviously doesn't go through pretty numbers, right? So I'm going to tell the calculator to find the zeros for me. What I need to do is, you see those blue lines? It's giving the calculator a window saying, look in between here and here for where my function crosses the x-axis. It doesn't always land where you want it. I was lucky this time. Do I have a zero in between the two blue lines?
Yeah.
Then I can tell the calculator to find the zero. And there it tells me what its value is. Be careful to round appropriately. This says to the nearest hundredth. So the first zero I would type in is what? 26? All right, comma. And then I want to do it again. Whoa, sure. Let's try that again. Where did you go? There it is. With all the strings in front of me, don't I? Okay, so I can hit OK here. And then we're going to do it again. And if I want to find this zero, now what's tricky on your Chromebooks is you have to use that little teeny tiny mouse pad. And you've got to grab that arrow. And you only know if you grabbed it if that function turns yellow. Then you know that it's ready to move. So now I've got my second zero in between the two lines, and I can tell it to find that zero. There's my second one. Remember doing that last year? No?
No.
That's new too?
We didn't use the calculator, but we did do that.
Okay, so you got pretty problems. That's all right. Pretty problems are good. That meant you could graph them by hand. Should we do another one of those?
Yeah.
All right. I think your homework's open yet. Okay, you need to open the calculator, and you will go to y equals. You will type in your equation. All right, I'm going to graph it. Maybe I'm going to graph it. I'm going to graph it. There it is. And we're looking for those zeros that don't go through pretty numbers. So remember, zeros are a fancy name for x-intercept. What button do I hit down here?
0.
All right. This one, I'm in luck. I've got the right zero in between two blue lines. So I can hit find zero. What is it? Negative 0.31. All right, to do it again, I can clear all if I want to. I've got to drag those blue lines to put my second zero I'm looking for in between them. And find zero. That one is negative 3.19. All right, so I'm going to be running around helping you guys is what I'm going to be doing on that homework problem. I'm sorry, I thought we would have already known how to do that. Because now I'm going to show you how to do one more thing in your calculator. Pretty sure. Okay, so this is, where is it increasing? You're going to be fine there. You're going to be fine here. Let's talk about this one. Is this a positive or a negative function?
Negative,
Why?
because the arm is on the left side.
Yep, I've got from left arm to right arm, I have a negative slope. Very good. Now this is what I wanted to talk about right here. I've kind of alluded to in the past having imaginary terms. And so I want you to look, we've got to remember, let's see, it was a minute ago. So how many terms does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 turns? So this is a minimum degree of what? 7. Yeah, it was 1 more. You guys could look in your journal and you could see that it's always 1 more. But then I have a possibility of having imaginary terms in there that our eyeball does not see. We could calculate them, but we can't see them on the graph. So when I look down here, you guys already told me it's an x to the 7th, but then it could also be an x to the 9th. It could be an x to the 11th. Of course, you're not going to check these because they're not there. It could be an x to the 13th. It could be every odd number above the minimum. All right. So when you get there, if you forgot, you're just going to ask me to remind you. Let's see, 12. Jesse, will you shut that door? They're kind of excessively noisy, aren't they? What was that? Goodness. All right. And this one wants you to use the graphing calculator this time to find the minimums. We just learned how to find zeros, and this is going to feel very, very, very familiar. Grab your calculator. Come on, you can do it. We type in our equation at y equals. Okay, we're going to move that over here, I guess. There we go. Don't let me mess up. Negative 2x to the 4th, then what? There's 3x cubed plus 4x. Did I get it? Nope. Squared. My goodness, that's a long one. 5x plus 2. We're going to graph it. Now I am looking for the minimums, which means I only have one, yes? Now on my calculator, it doesn't say minimum or maximum. Extrema is the plural for both of those. They're the extremes. They're the highs and they're the lows. So that's the button you will hit this time. You'll move those 2 blue lines. So what you're looking for, in my case it's the minimum, is in between those 2 blue lines. Find extrema. Oh, it happened to find the maximum too, but I know I'm looking for the minimum. And it tells me to give both the x and the y that are written right here. And I think that sums it up. So when you open Alex and you get in there and need help remembering how to use that calculator, holler at me. And I can also show you how to use the TI-84s and do zeros and extrema on those if you would rather do that. So just let me know.